everyone was very optimistic that it might finally be Liverpool's year. A year on, we're still waiting.
Yes.
Why? And is it going to be their year this year?
Well, listen, I mean, a year ago I tipped Chelsea to win the league because, of course, I'll never tip Man United, never in a million years. So I tipped Chelsea last year. I fancy Liverpool this year. I fancy Liverpool this year. They improved last year. They didn't lose many games. They drew too many games that they shouldn't have, drawn against. But I fancy them this year.
What makes them in a better position this year than they were last year? I
just think their level of form. They had a slump in January of last year, around about that time, and then I think from then onwards they were very consistent and strong in the league. I think they brought a couple of players in which will help the team this year. I think like Daniel Agger's back from a long-term injury. Robbie Keane's in. They bought Degan Doshner, a couple more than God for the future. I don't think they finish buying players. Saying that, I think the top four will buy players from now to the transfer window finishes. So, but I think Liverpool have got a type of squad that could worry teams this year.
And £18 million for Robbie Keane, is he going to be the missing piece of the jigsaw?
I think he will certainly take Liverpool to another level, and if that means he's the missing piece, that means he's the missing piece. But there's talk about Gareth Barry coming. But I think Robbie Keane is the type of player which will help Liverpool. I think Steven Gerrard will sit back into centre midfield, and the likes of Robbie Keane and Torres and Steven, the heart of the spine of Liverpool's team with Carragher and maybe Agger back in the fold. I think it looks very promising. I do.
How important do you think it is that Liverpool do finally land Gareth Barry?
I just think it's important now because all the signs are that Liverpool wants him. He wants to leave. Villa are willing to sell. Villa don't want to keep an unhappy player. So I think it's important that it's rectified, and I think it will. I think when you're spending that type of money, what I read about in the press is that they're haggling over a couple of £1 million. When you're spending that type of money, I think the closer it gets to the transfer window closing, I think deals get done, don't they? Suddenly, a couple of £1 million is found, or prices are lowered, And I think then, if Aston Villa, if the deal's done for Villa, then Villa will go out and buy a lot of players, and then, of course, if United go and buy Berbatov, the money merry-go-round starts again, and the activity heightens up again, and I fully expect that to happen over the next 3 weeks.
Rafa Benitez probably frustrated a lot of Liverpool fans last year because he rotated the team, Torres was being rested and this kind of thing, and they thought his focus was still too much on Europe. Has he got to focus on the Premier League?
Personally, I think he's focused on the Premier League. I think if you analyse it, he didn't rotate Torres that much, and I certainly think at the end of the season, we all knew who the main people were and the main people played. I think managers will always rotate their team depending on who they're playing. We saw Liverpool go to Fulham last year, near the end of the season, win 2-0. I think Rafa made 10 changes. They were brilliant, and it's like, well, of course, when games go wrong or you draw or you lose the game, that's when everybody focuses on the rotation. But we know that Ferguson rotates. We also know that Avram Grant rotated the squad a lot last year. So it has to happen, and I think Rafa knows. I think he wants to win the Premier League, I really does. I think he knows. People think that he's more fixated on the Champions League, and I disagree. I think he knows how important the league is. He wants to do well in both, but he wants to win the league without a doubt.
And this Liverpool squad, they've got the chance to go down in Merseyside folklore, I guess, if they break that title drought.
Yeah, exactly. And the fact that they haven't won it since '89, and the fact that Man United are very strong at the moment, and United are catching them up as in how many league titles have won. I think it's vitally important that the Liverpool players at the minute and will stop the rot and start pulling away from Manchester United. And in the end, that's all any Liverpool fan wants.
Your tip for the title?
Liverpool, I think.